Morning, everybody. How's it going? Happy Sunday. Ben's Brick Designs. Ben here. Good morning, Brad. Good morning, Dave. How's it going? It's going well here. It's cold. Everything's iced over. It's going to be like this it's been like this for a day or two. It's going to be like this for a couple more days. So everybody just get a cup of cocoa, cuddle up, get a blanket, get a pet, get a loved one to snuggle with, and just kind of ride it out if you're here in Austin. If you're outside of Austin, I think it's colder everywhere. Just a big polar Arctic blast. If you're outside the country, first of all, thanks for being here. Second of all, I don't know what your weather is. So, recently completed. Things got a little spicy. The last stream was pretty good. We got this guy finished. I think that turned out well. I didn't do the stand live, but I'll show you guys. So this is Kessel, right? This is the mining facility on Kessel. So it's got the green pools of water and some rigging and stuff like that. So that's the Kessel Run. And here's, again, the Kessel Run Millennium Falcon. Somebody alerted me to the fact that Mark Smiley, the guy who did a bunch of other things, but also was... Mark Smiley is the guy who designed this thing, right? Made a microfighter. He made a escape pod for the actual Millennium Falcon, but also for the microfighter. So now I'm thinking I'm going to go back and probably redo this to see if I can make it detach, which means there's going to be a lot of taking this whole big plate off, because that'll have to go away. Just making a lot of things slide in and out with a tile, but being able to figure out how it clips in. So I may watch his thing and figure out how that's done. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just leave it. So there you go. Again, I got this done. This wasn't intention. What's up, Andrea? This wasn't intended to be worked on this week, but... And you guys let me know how the sound is, because I'm always mucking with the mics a little bit. This is, of course, a shuttle Tidarium. That's a little much for this early in the morning. That's a little better. It's a Lambda-class shuttle. Wings fold up, obviously. Landing position. Somebody asked if I could do this. I remember this not being my design, but I kind of reverse engineered it and made it my own. There's some pieces that I want to replace. These need to be light blue. And ideally I want these to be light blue-gray and not dark blue-gray, but I mean, whatever. Also, there may be a chance we'd lose power or internet, so just heads up, because it's wintry. These clips on the bottom, or these hinges on the bottom, if you can find them in white, I think it would look better, but I think altogether it looks pretty good. I don't have a pilot for this one, which is why I haven't taken a nice Instagram of it yet. I want to get that black pilot, the black outfit pilot from the actual set. There's two. There's one that's really expensive and one that's not. The one that's not came in the minifig and the actual set of Krennic shuttle, which is kind of dumb. I think Krennic should come in the shuttle, so I think I might try to find that set and replace it in the microfighter. There's this, and then there's also the Sentinel landing craft, which is similar, but the landing craft has a bigger sort of personnel carrier section that basically it's this set, but this section gets pushed out a little bit. Somebody asked if I had done this, and they're like, well, the wings don't work. And I'm like, okay, so I checked the wings and they work fine. They were trying to set it like this, right? They're like, I want to be able to do it like you have in the picture you have. These in light gray are harder to find, but I just get them on Bricklink and I order a bunch of them at once. So I mean, it's not that bad. They are a little more pricey. I have a bunch of these. I may just leave it. I don't think I'm going to change this much. Everybody knows what it is. I'm going to get these in lug bulk, the light blue gray. I have a single piece, you can get the single piece in light blue gray, but I like the fact that it's got a little division. So it looks like two thrusters rather than one big one. So the guy was like, it doesn't stand up like you have in the picture. And I was like, well, the picture is a digital render. There's no gravity and no weight, you know, no mass. So it's just floating there. It, of course, doesn't sit like this because it has to sit like this, right? That's how it lands, and it lands fine. Plus, I was like, if you need to have it be displayed, so I've had this stand for a while. I was like, something has to be over Endor. So this is Endor. This is the little radar station over Endor. And this is, you know, the Shuttle Tidarium, which is a named version of the Lambda class shuttle from Return of the Jedi. So it's coming down over Endor. I guess I could put, like, since it's over Endor, you could put a pilot in here that's like camouflaged Endor Han or Leia or something like that. But I think having it be the black shuttle pilot figure is probably the best. So there's that. And that's it. I've got more parts coming in. I put an order in for the... I've got a little story to tell. So I was doing... This is Rowan Freemaker from the Freemaker Adventures, which is a Lego property of Star Wars. It has nothing to do, I think, with actual... I don't even think it's canon. But they did a cartoon... And there's a couple really good ships in it. There's Rowan Freemaker, and then I forget what the other guy's name is. There's like 3 main characters. Then there's a Jedi that hunts him, and then there's like a robot that goes after him, named MOC, Mock, right? It's kind of funny. So I'm doing the Star Scavenger. So I posted, and I took this down on... I'm going to switch to design, and I'm just going to open up some stuff. I'm going to work on a cow because we're doing this for our lug. So somebody, the same person who asked about the shuttle was like, you should do this one next. And he posted a picture of the Freemaker ship, the Star Scavenger. And I was like... He's like, you should do this one next. I'm like, well, that's mine. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, that is my design. And he's like, oh, I didn't know that. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that's cool that you found it, but yeah, you can totally build that if you want. He's like, well, some dude's selling it. And I was like, what? So I looked it up, and sure enough, it was on a site called Mox Maker. And... I don't know if this is going to be available or not. I'm trying to make this available to our based off our logbook availability parts, but I don't know if this is going to work or not. So I go check, and sure enough, on Mox Maker's site, which is like an Italian run, it's going to be too big. Unless I make those legs really big. It's an Italian run. You put a Rebrickable, basically. You build a model, you put it up there, and you can charge for it, and you get commission off of whatever sales they do. So I was like, well, that's cool. But it was the exact model of my my ship, and I was like, oh, that looks more like it's a little butthole than it does a tail. I'll figure something else out. So I freaked out, and I contacted them. I left a comment on the thing, and the thing was, the design was essentially mine. And they had changed like a couple plates here and there, a couple tiles here and there to make it look slightly different. They had turned some things inside out or something, but it was the exact same build. And I'm like, you motherfucker. So I left a comment on the page saying, hey, this isn't your design, please take it down. And didn't think anything of it, and then I emailed or I contacted the company and said, this person stole my design. This isn't their design. Please delist it. And then I went on a tirade and I recorded like a TikTok and I did an Instagram and Twitter and posted a thing on Facebook about it. And I was just like, this dude's stealing my crap. And I'm used to seeing stuff on, there's a site called Venado, and they steal everybody's stuff all the time. And there's even a Facebook group that I'm part of that is, you know, mock designers against Venado. And because it's such a problem, they I mean, there's a whole Facebook group about it because it's as much of a problem as it is. So I posted on there, I'm like, look, this isn't Venado, but it is another one of these sites, and I'm pretty sure I've seen stolen stuff on here before. And one of the group runners was like, you know what, that the guy who runs that site is actually a friend of mine. So let me talk to him and see what's going on. And it turns out that Moxmaker is actually a pretty legit site. The only reason I thought it wasn't is because I saw a couple like Papa Glops mock of the Razor Crest was on there, and I don't think that was put up there by him, but maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of a different site. Anyway, the dude got back to me like immediately, and he's like, hey, you know, and it was kind of funny because it was, I think there was a bit of a language barrier too, because obviously if he's Italian, English isn't his first language. But like every other American, I'm like, you speak English, but your English is terrible, you know? And it's like, yeah, but it's my second or third language, of course, you know? So anyway, I think there was a bit because he's like, we got your complaint, and the essence was, we got your complaint, we acted on it within the hour. Please take down all your defamatory posts about it. Because it wasn't us, it wasn't the site that did it, it was one individual. I'm like, you know what? You're right, I'm going to. So I took them all down. Except for the Facebook post on the mock designers versus Venado, because I felt like it needed to stay up for like a cautionary tale and how to do it, and I edited it to say like, the people at Moxmaker were great, they dealt with it quickly, you should feel confident. Kind of a freaky thing that happened, but at the same time, I'm glad it got taken care of as much as it did. Or as well as it did. So if you're in the market to buy some interesting models, I would suggest Mox Market because they treated everybody fantastically. Oh, no problem, Brad's Life. Thanks for being here. Yeah, it went well. So everything worked out. I'm surprised they didn't say, hey, you know, while you're at it, do you want to list your stuff with us? But they didn't. So I'm working on this because I can do this while I'm telling this story, but this isn't really what I want to be working on. This is for our lug. They asked me to make a cow. I think what we're probably going to do is order, because we got Lug Bulk coming up, and if you don't know what Lug Bulk is, it's a program where you, if you're part of a lug, and if you don't know what a lug is, let me tell you, it's a Lego user group. It's just a collection of people who get together and have like-minded work and like building, and they all live in the same area. Just realized the computer wasn't plugged in. And they get together, they usually have meetings, they hold events, they have conventions sometimes if they're big enough. There's a certain amount that comes from them in not doing research, but it seems that it may have also been said that just one individual stole your design, it presented them as their own. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. But when I posted on Instagram, someone was like, yeah, that's that same dude who stole my design and put it up there. And I'm like, well, maybe we should be banning this one dude. And so I went and looked at all his designs, and I couldn't really tell because I hadn't seen any of the other designs around if they had been stolen. There was a lightsaber, Yoda's lightsaber, that looked like it was done by that guy out of Australia, Built Bricks on Instagram, built_bricks. He's listed on Brick Vibe's site, the Build Factory. All his lightsabers are up there. So I went and looked at the Yoda lightsaber on there, and then this other guy's lightsaber, and it looked similar. So I'm like, maybe. Anyway, I'm just like, I'm really down on that dude, but not the company itself. They did really well. So there's my cautionary tale. So anyway, lug bulk is yeah, that's better. Can I get that in black? So the thing is, I'm gonna have to check this later to make sure these are all part of the lug bulk. That may not work as well. And then once a year we get to take part in the lug takes part in lug bulk, which is like a program through the Lego group where it allows established lugs, to buy at better prices, large amounts and better prices. The idea being that you build something out of the pieces that you get. You take it to a convention, you do an event with it, you bring your neighborhood and your community in to see it. You get more people interested in Lego and what it can do. They go out and buy more Lego. So it kind of rolls with it. Dreamy Dynamic TV. This will be your first year. This will be my first year of lug bulk. Hey, how's it going? Yes, it will be. It's a lot of fun. I am actually only spending about half what I usually spend this year because the pieces are just kind of, I'm not feeling it really. Let's do, I'm not really sure what to do with this. Let's do a hinge. So I'm not really, I'm only getting a couple pieces that look like maybe I would be able to roll into like some microfighters or some other designs. There wasn't a whole lot of stuff that I really wanted, but we'll see. But the order went in, or we had to finalize our parts last night, so. So I think what this was, and one of our group members, who's kind of the group ambassador, was like, hey, can you real quick come up with a cow or a longhorn? I type in cow, 1x2 cow, and make sure the parts that you use are available from the lug bulk. So I think what they're going to do is probably order extra and have this for, or a bull, not a cow, but a bull, and have it available for either some of the meetings or at conventions or something like that. I don't know if these hinge pieces are available from lug bulk, but I'll have to look. So there's a cow. I may go back and do, or a bull. I may go back and do longhorns because I think we also have longhorn. Which is these guys. Actually, it's more like this. So you could probably interchange these. A little bit. And then you could change the color of the longhorn a little bit because they're more of a like a tan. Nope. That's not what I wanted either. Shift. I just want, there we go. Let's hide this guy. And all these black things, let's make orange. Oh man. Doesn't look right at all. Let's change it back to tan. And let's change all this back. Because I think I can change individual pieces. I know that some of these come in that color, and then the rest we can do in like white. Can have a mix. Oh. So these you can do in white. I think these you can do in... Nope, those will have to be white too. There. That's good. I'm going to save that for now. So the real reason I'm here today is to work on this. So this... I'm giving myself the task of trying to do a UCS style, so just a big version of a Vulture Droid fighter. The problem that I'm having, so this is where we're at, and I'm going to pull up Safari so I can take a look at it. I'm doing the CIS markings for it. Vulture D, thanks for completing that after I typed it all out. So this is what I'm basing it off of. Is this this model, the CIS model. Get a large version of that. So you can see I've like tried to start doing the markings. This piece right here, the problem I'm having is this piece is so thin. If you were to look at it head on, it'd be almost like paper thin. Like, it's ridiculous how the engineering on this, and it's space mechanics, so they can do anything they want. As long as it doesn't, you know, the image in the computer doesn't collide, they can make anything work. Space be damned. Now, these are supposed to be able to walk on in gravity, and survive atmospheric flight. So, I mean, there's got to be something going on. So anyway, the reason it's this thick is because I've got mechanics in here to allow, let me get rid of that, to allow these bits of the leg to slide out. So the whole thing has to be able to, the pincer parts of the legs, I don't think I have even, I have the microfighter of it, but I don't have the original Lego build. The pincer part of the legs rotate down, and each part of those pincers becomes a leg that it uses to walk. Now, it's not meant to walk really well, but it can at least stand there like on an air base and kind of march in a direction and shoot at things. They also use the pincer claw bits to kind of cling to the outsides of ships because they don't need docking bays. They are droids, so they can live in space if they need to. Droid ship docking bays tend to not be pressurized or have any atmosphere or anything like that, life support, because they don't need it. The mechanics don't need to have it, anything. So So the problem is that I'm trying to get these to be able to at one time rotate, but also be mobile. So the mobility comes from these ball joints, and I don't know if this is going to be stable enough to hold this one little ball joint, but I think it'll be stable enough to at least stand up. Yeah, and it acts like a VTOL, so it's standing and it basically jumps up and does this and then takes off, right? The original one too, there were times where it was like the legs were together and then they would open up and stuff would fire. But everything that I've seen outside of just that one scene in the movie is those are always open. So you can see the mechanics in here. If I can rotate this right. So these are just plates. These live on tiles, so they slide. And if you were to slide it out, it's clipped in here so it doesn't move. And then ideally you slide it out, and I didn't grab that other plate with it, even though I wanted to. You slide it out and it clips onto this other plate. Now, Studio doesn't like me doing this because it is a POS. But there, so now it's pushed out. Now the reason it has to be pushed out is to give it some room to rotate and move, right? This will have to so these two will both come out. One will kind of rotate and bend, and the other will rotate and bend a certain direction, and they'll be attached to the legs differently. And then the whole thing's then covered by this plate, right? So the whole thing's covered, so you can't really see the mechanics in there. So I went back and forth with a lot of Technic bits on this, and I just couldn't get anything. Oh, it's yellow because it's just easier to see. Working in gray a lot of the times, and in fact the background is different from what I was using on my other computer. I wanted this to be a lighter background. To try to get like a better, it's easier on the eyes if you can see everything. The grays and stuff tend to bleed together in the seams, and it's just harder to look at. I'm just taking a page from Darth Designer's book about just coloring it whatever I want, and then when I finalize something, when I'm like, yes, I like the shape of that, then I'll go back and see if it's available in the color, and if it's not, rework it. So I went back and forth with some Technic like pipes and pins and connectors. The problem I had with those is the ones that I wanted to use didn't have enough friction, so they'd be spinning really loosely, or they would be, there's a lot of wobble. So this is just some plates that are stacked together. I can take it out and you can see. This is just plates that are stacked together that should be stable enough, and if they can just slide in here, it should be okay. I just realized that that's not going to be able to slide. Yeah, I need to replace this with a tile as well. Yeah, that needs to be replaced. 1 by 8. Actually, I don't need it. That doesn't even need to be that long. It just needs a 1 by 6. So I have to remember that I did this on this side, so I can do it on the other side too. Yeah, so now I can see that. So yeah, it doesn't have to be that color. I changed the colors up here because I was trying to get the striping above and beneath to kind of match up with these wedge plates. So the striping, would look like the striping here. I'm not going to be able to do it really well in closing these areas, and there's going to be some gaps right here. This shape is also very hard to recreate. There's not a lot of this. I think it's too big, honestly. But I think this is about as big as it'll allow me to be and still look like the craft, right? So then the claw pontoon wing bits will be about as long as the rest of this, right? So they'll be pretty big. So I can get away with making it a little bigger that way. So then the other part that I was working on is being dumbly creative with the head. Now the head also pops up when it's in walking mode. It's got this single little pillar lift arm thing that the whole thing pops up, right? So if you're looking at it head on, it pops up like this. And so it can look around while it's walking. And then it kind of lays back, right? So you can see that in the movies too, where they're flying along and the little head pops up and talks to his friends and then sits back down. Or on the droid control ship in the movies, that you see a lot more in Clone Wars. But they're walking around and you can see them kind of walk around in the hangar bay and then they kind of jump up and fly off. But having this giant mass on this little bitty thing, again, is space engineering. So I've been trying to work on a way to do that, but I've also wanted to leave this as the eyes as these trans red pieces so that I might be able to put a light brick in here somewhere and have them light up. I don't know if that's going to work or not, and I may just rely on making a sticker because this shape of the head, I've been racking my brain trying to figure out how to accomplish that. This shape right here is easy enough to come up with, but the problem is it's also on a curved surface, right? So this technically should be a curved surface, not flat straight across. But again, I don't know how to accomplish making that now curved without it looking blocky, which is the point of Lego. Yeah, it's probably a piston in there, and I do have some access in here to some piston pieces. Like if I wanted to use something that, you know, was similar to that. The problem I ran into, because I thought about this one first, is that this needs to do a couple things. First, it needs to go up and down, right? Like here's your head. It's looking that way. It needs to go up. It needs to go down. It needs to go up, and it needs to turn, right? So where do you put that turn? Up here. It also needs to look up and down. So there's one axis. It needs to turn, so I split that. So you can see in here the split right here. That's where it'll turn. These hinges are just to get the angle of the head, right? I don't need that. I could rebuild that. Here's your one axis. Here's your other axis. This axis also needs to, because it's, it'll need to slide, right? So when it raises up, it slides a little bit, and then it slides back into place. I don't know how that's possible really at all. If I put like some runners in here, right? So it holds the pin in place horizontally, right? It'll hold it like this. So it can move back and forth, but it won't go up and down, and it won't go side to side, right? So if I've got two pins and like these gutters along the side, so if I build out some gutters, it should hold it into place. That way, when it settles back in, it doesn't, it can just kind of settle right there. And it'll have maybe a stud or two that it can kind of snap in. But then when you pick it up, you can move it and pose it and whatever. I don't know how well you'll be able to pose it. I'm that old? I don't know what that means, but hi, Landon. I thought you were a teen. Oh, God, no. I am not a teen at all. I am at least 3 times a teen. I have a teenage son and daughter. Well, let's next level of engineering. Thank you, Andrea. You do custom lights, you can fit them inside. Yeah, so I know a couple people who are really good at fitting LEDs inside. They'll take a brick and they'll drill out a little, I mean, like dentist drill, kind of like really small, so they can wire light up kits without compromising the wiring. Like it won't pinch the wiring when you put it together. So thank you, Landon. I appreciate that. This guy? You mean this old guy? Yeah, he's pretty cool. I'm glad I got him rebuilt. I gave the original to Star Wars Explains. I hope he likes it. How do you buy it? Well, there's a link to my Rebrickable site in the video, should be, or on the channel at least. And in that Rebrickable site, there's half a dozen of these that are of these microfighters, right, for sale. And some are free, just depends. And by for sale, I mean they're $1. But you can go check them out there. I'm dig the idea here, like a UCS droid fighter walker, but there's a way to get that head and eyes and rolled up in the... Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, that's where I stopped. I started this last week when I was interrupted by the cow. Unless it's printed, I don't know if there's a better way to like get it trans red, right? Because you can put a little light brick in here still and it'll fit. Or you can put it back here and it'll light everything up. The next, because, you know, there's all these pieces. You know, and I've tried using some of these to make the shape, and it works to some extent, but you've got to figure out how to make them all line up. I'm going to get rid of these real quick. I need to redo how this attaches. So here's the other thing is, I was talking about this. This is how thin this, given this engineering in here, which I'm going to do this weekend, is just put this section together with pieces I have and see if it works. I don't even think I have any of these. I thought I did, but I might just turn them into the 1x1 or 1x2 with the handles and then flip these clips so they're vertical. I think either way, it'll work either way. These just seemed a little more stable because it was one piece. The fewer pieces you can use, I believe the more stable it could be. Bionicle trans bits. Yeah, I wish I knew more about Bionicle. So yeah, trying to use some of these curved things would work. Let's do left. Wedge left. I thought about trying to combine some of these somehow to get that shape, because this makes, you know, this makes a good shape, but it's already too small, right? This head needs to be probably about that again, so like one more. Like about that big. So if you had a like a curved slope. Do 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 do. Something like this. Right? And then you could fill that somehow with some plates and light that up. It's actually not a bad idea. But then you have to, okay, so if I did that, you angle it up. Problem I run into is that's about the angle of the head, right? So you have to fill in the areas underneath. But there's no real pieces that just do that. So there's no amount of slopes or wedges that can just fill this in. So you're going to probably end up with a combination of like... So this is the inspiration I've been using. And this is solid enough that I can just tool around with this. So you can see in here, this isn't perfectly, there isn't one piece that makes this shape, right? When you're metalworking and you're making the ship, you can melt and bend and stuff, but you can't do that with Lego. I have to dust this. So you've got to come up with it with these combinations of different, you know, so there's one piece, then there's a combination of pieces that join that one piece, and then there's a whole section right here that's made up of a bunch of little pieces. So it's not going to be a perfect fit, but like from back here, right, it looks great. But when you look at it up here, you're like, that's obviously a bunch of little chunks and slopes and tiles and plates. So I'm trying to come up with that, but I think that's just going to take a little time to come up with the right combination. It's going to be a lot of tricky bits. But I will look into some Bionicle stuff. I know that Studio doesn't have every Bionicle thing, but I will do some research and see if I can find something that might work, like a mask. I know they've got a lot of masks that might be a good combination. Landon, I am making this. I'm trying my hand at a UCS something, so a large model of something. So it's going to be a droid fighter with some, mechanical bits for legs and whatnot. So I think this function works pretty well. I'm pretty happy with this. I'll just have to see what it looks like when it's rotated out. I think I'll have to switch these because I feel like when they come out, I'm trying to think of how that rotates down. So if they come out, this one I'll have to rotate, the top one will have to rotate down. So it'll have to be attached to the front instead. So like this, don't need to be messing with this probably too much right now, but, oh. Can I just switch them? I think they're the exact same thing. Boy, Studio just does not want me to get these things hooked up, do they? Here we go. So they had a new release come out, and it's driving me effing bonkers. Like it's automatically showing you all the places where it's conflicting, and it's really hard to kind of get a beat on. So maybe I can just move it. Close enough. All right, so if I did that, that might be better, yeah. So I have to remember to switch that on the other side. Now when they come out, one can rotate this way and the other can rotate this way. And so the legs will come out like that. That should work. Oh, what are you making? I had to go to the bathroom. I'm doing this guy, but like a UCS version of this guy, just because I need something to struggle with in my life. The droid fighter is already a macro. Oh, I solided up this one. I should show you guys this. I worked on this one too. This isn't my design initially, but I firmed it up so it was less unstable. So this is the Tanta V4. There's still some bits that are a little touchy, but and I would like to maybe make that back engine block a little bigger. But I shortened it up overall. It was really long. This part was like 4 bricks long, and I made this a little smaller. And I redid the front, so now it's got this inverted plate instead of a tile. But it also means that I don't have to have like a pin in either of these, so it spins, right? And then I just went away with the half pin in here. So these are spinning all over the place. I don't mind it being a little plate instead of a tile. It's cheaper that way too, like if you do a couple of these. Kept the rest the same, replaced all the yellowed bricks, but it turned out really well. Again, This isn't my initial design. I just kind of reverse engineered it and then took a couple liberties to make it a little more stable and swooshable. So that turned out well. UCS Droid Fighter, Landon. UCS Vulture Droid. Let me dig through. I thought that the Droid Fighter was already a yeah, here we go. I didn't need to micro it because it was already microed. I have done a design for a bomber, a hyena bomber. It didn't even come apart. Yeah. So there's your, this, I mean, this is a set you could buy. It was. I don't think it's for sale anymore. I like how the way they get the pilot to hang on in the back here is he holds on like it's a jet ski. He's like, yeah, man, ride that wave, woo! But yeah, so there's your droid microfighter if you haven't seen it, and yes, it stands up. I don't think the head moves though. It doesn't. So ideally, when it's standing up like this, and you can't even, the whole thing comes apart. But ideally this head will come up too. And I think it does that in the original set, but I'm not gonna do that. So yeah, and I did the hyena bomber version of this. I think what I'd like to do maybe is, if I ever redid this, is you can get this piece in tan and then just redo it in a tan color, right? I think this was a rebuild because I didn't buy this originally, but yeah, you can see I rebuilt it because I didn't have that piece in the right color. I didn't have that piece in the right color because they needed to be dark tan or something, so. But yeah, you could rebuild this in tan and be like the original Phantom Menace versions. Yeah, all these microfighters are cute. That's why I love them and build them and design them, because they are adorable. So the hyena bomber version of that design is basically that, and you double it. It makes it a little fatter and bigger, but that's all you had to do to it. So yeah, Landon, we're doing a UCS version of this Vulture Droid Fighter. And this is going to take months to get right. It's not going to be something I figure out today. But it's worth kind of looking at. I don't know, if I pull up Bionicle, that's just going to bring so much in here. So there's like masks that you can get that are large. This isn't too large. Some of these masks are pretty big. That's a minifig head, okay. Like this would be a good piece. This is always a good piece because it's trans. You can do that one in trans red. That might be helpful for the eyes if I could figure that out, because they're also curved. That's not necessarily Bionicle. That's just been around for a while. So that's a good start of a shape there. I also have to make sure that they're available in certain colors or else it may not work. Like Pearl Dark Gray is pretty good. A lot of these claws I probably don't need. These masks are almost big enough. Like this looks like the front of a Cylon Raider. Kind of. Pearl Light Gray. Not exactly the shape, but you know, close. You could use a lot of these pieces. The thing with Bionicle, it looks like there's a lot of sort of smooth and jagged. What I really want to use Bionicle pieces for is to eventually, and Travis knows this, is to do my Centurions line idea. because I think a lot of these pieces, oh, what a great piece that is. Flat silver, nice. This would be such a good spaceship piece. Look at the, like the vents. You just put this over an engine cover. That's baller. It's $1. That's not too bad. Yeah, a lot of these round ones, these shields or whatever. Yeah, maybe not. They look like they'd be great, like large spaceship parts that you could kind of build around. If you think of a specific part that might help, let me know. I think I'm going to try to keep with some of the smoother, because I mean, when you look at, it's very, very smooth. Like, I don't know, this back end piece is almost, left. Is almost this style, which you can fill with one of these, right? If we did a right wedge. All right, see you later, Landon. Thanks for coming by, man. Appreciate it. So this could be like the back side of the head. You rotate this up a bit. Could be the back curve, right? Or just the side, maybe. And then have the front come down. See if this is too big. So a lot of what I'm doing is I'm putting crap in place just to see if it's got the right fit or shape, and then see if I can make it tie together. Because if it doesn't look like it'll fit, that may be too big. Because keep in mind, this whole head has to fit right about here. So this would be a good look for the front if I could cut a hole in it right here and put the eyes right there. So I mean, maybe just do some stickers, you know. It doesn't have to be brick built. I just thought it'd be fun to be brick built, but in the end it may just be easier to do this as the head instead. So in a lot of these places I've got, well, let's try take two over here. I don't know what that is. See, this spreads out too fast this way. It doesn't taper as well. This tapers better, but it doesn't, come on. But it's not big enough. So maybe, yeah, going back to something like, maybe these would be good on the back side. Let's move these back. could do that plate thin. So it does have to lay down a little bit to be flat with the thing. I almost feel like it has to rise up a little more. But I could fill this in with plates and tiles to make the eyes, so that would be good. Plus, if it were something a little more simple than this, I could work on the mechanism to move it around a little bit easier. Because right now, this looks good, right? The eyes look good, but it's so complicated under here. I could probably replace... That's just too much. I think I'm gonna get rid of that. Yeah, I don't like having to use stickers, but I mean, UCS stuff has used stickers, so... If I raise this up slightly, it might be the right angle. See, that's a good angle right there. The problem is then filling in these under bits. Because it's going to have to start like... So, I mean, here, let's look. The only thing that really fills this in, let's lower this down, just so we know what we're dealing with, is one of these guys. This is the only thing that really matches that. So you almost have to put another one of these up here. Yeah, I was kind of hoping to particle it together. But it's, so, in reality, because I'm going to try to make it about as big as the A-Wing. In reality, they're both about, what was the size? 6.something meters, 6.9 meters. I think the A-Wing and the Droid Fighter are virtually the same size. So the A-Wing is about 50. If I take a plate up there and see how long it is. Yeah, it's about 51, 52 studs, which I think I measured out here. How many is this? 8 times, so this is 64. So it needs to be, you know, take one of these off. This would be 50. 7 times 8, 56. So it needs to be a couple studs shorter than this. So if this was, let's see if I can move. Move this up a little bit. So if this was like the end of the last wing, you can see how big that would be. So that's, I mean, that we're getting there. Little bits lying around in here. I don't know what that is. Oh, happy Valentine's Day. You too. I'm not a big Valentine's Day celebrator, but you have a happy day. I hope you have a wonderful day. Hey, Jeff. How's life, brother? So I'm going to put these back on here so I just know. I have to rebuild the insides of that so I know where those all sit on. This also is going to be a really funky attachment because this is held on by these, I'm pointing at it because you can see the screen, by just these things. So all the way around, it's attached there and there. But then it's being held in the middle by this, and up here by these two things. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that I'm going to have to play with to make sure it's stable enough. We'll see. It's life snowy. Yeah, it's not snowing here yet. I think it's going to soon. Everything here is just frozen. Like all the trees and everything here, it just has like this 1/8 of an inch of ice coating around it, and it's been that way for about 3 days, and it's going to be that way for the rest of this week. So anyway, this head, if you can see here, it has to sit basically like kind of overlaps this corner. It kind of has to sit like right in here. There's a little bit of this of drift back here where it connects, but not much. You can see right there that white or that light piece of, there's better diagrams of this. Let me see if I can, I don't know what key lets me open a new tab. There we go. I was even opening up like my incredible cross-section book to kind of get a good idea of what it looked like. This image right here, this is what I was looking at too, to get the idea of what the head does. What happened to my music, yo? There we go. So that's good. I think this is a fan render, but we'll, so you can see this is actually a little bit thicker. It should start tapering right about here, right? So the head is as big as this whole end piece, but I'm trying to get the mechanics of it to fit in here, which shouldn't be a problem, but it will overlap. It'll sit on top of the plates right about there. But here's a good look at it. You can see how thin it is, and all the mechanics for the leg walking bits go in these little slices right there. So I've done my best to keep that thin, and I can probably put some wedges, you know, to kind of dress it up a little bit over here, or just another plate or two. But yeah, this is going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. But I think you're right. I'm going to put this head aside for now. I just don't think I'm going to be able to make it work. I mean, who knows? Maybe I could. This may take a little more physical work than digital work, but I like the digital work more because it gives me more flexibility with pieces. I don't have a whole lot of these pieces. Also, maybe it doesn't have to be this thick. By the looks of it, it could probably be a little thinner than that. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So in this little bit, in this little area right here, see how thin that is? I mean, this is a wedge, but in these little areas are enough mechanics and machinery to make it walk, right? I mean, ideally, it's not supposed to be like an AT-AT or something where it's got a lot of stability and power and stuff like that. It's just supposed to be able to kind of be standing there. So, yeah, I'm trying to stick. That's exactly it, Kodiak. I'm trying to stick with stuff that I don't own because I don't think I own half these pieces. I mean, I'm pretty sure I do. I've got a lot. But, so, given that, let's try without, for the next little bit, let's try a head shape without. See how high it is, though? I almost feel like you could do it. Let's abandon this. Because I don't... I don't know why I have all these extra pieces out here. I think they went inside here somewhere. It almost feels like I could do this. And then... Oh. See, immediately you run into this problem where these need to come together, but still remain at an angle. So that can be done. Right? So it might be able to be done with plates instead of some bricks, which I'm okay with. This looks a little more uniform over the top, so you might be able to get away with like some hinged pieces over the top, or even some slopes. You could do almost like what we did. You guys were there, right? Yeah, that needs to be reversed. No, it's right. Maybe that needs to be lower. Hey, I'm back. And also why the color yellow. My cats are fighting over the top of the post. That's cute. I got a really good picture of my cat and my dog. My dog's just laying on the bed. We're all laying on the bed this morning. It's wonderful to be like cold outside but warm in. It's cold outside but it's warm in bed. And having the cat and the dog down at the end of the bed, and the dog's just laying there, and the cat's like licking the dog's head. And you're like, oh, that's so cute. Landon, whew, Yellow because it's easier to see. Rather than just worry about if this part's available, most parts are going to be available. When you're doing a UCS build, it's the smaller the build, the more likely you are to get like really specialized pieces, because they have to be shaped like the thing that they're going to, it has to be a shape that's going to be a larger percentage of the model, right? So if you've got something that's 100 pieces, you've got to have 1 or 2 pieces that are the exact same thing or the exact same look. Like for instance, if you're looking at a shuttle, for instance, this is one piece. That whole piece looks like the cockpit. You've got one piece that does that whole thing. Whereas the bigger you get, the more pieces you can use to do that. So they don't have to be as specialized. When you get really, really big, you're going to run into fewer and fewer super specialized pieces. Also, when you're doing a UCS, and this is just my take on it. This is my first design at this level. I would imagine that you want to cut costs by not having really highly molded pieces. You want simple pieces that are available readily, so it keeps costs down. So you don't want to get too weird with like your piece quality. I think that it's just an opinion. I think that's probably how they roll with it. Dang, just thought you'll have to incorporate a stand for this guy, because I don't know if he'll be able to build to stand to hold itself with his little wingtip legs. That's the idea. That's what I really want to find out if I can. But yeah, if not, then yeah, it'll have to be shipped with those pylons, those girdered pylons, right? That you put, like all the TIE fighters come on. The crane, they're called pylons, supports, the tall latticed supports. You can get a bunch of those. So yeah, I mean, that may be a possibility. So the idea is that, let's see if I can do this. So let me see if I can. All right, so these things, so we can slide these out. These things will slide out. Oh, wait. Yeah, that wasn't right. This should be... That should be over here. All right, so I'm going to slide these guys out. Okay. Then, oh, I haven't done this yet. This is going to break a lot of stuff. This guy, okay, now I have to break these. Release the submodels. So then this guy will rotate. Oh, I have to do it different times. I'll rotate like this, and then they're hinged so they can split a little bit too. Now, I'm no mech builder, but I have a feeling this isn't going to be very strong. So there'll be a plate over this holding this down. These are clipped in here, so that'll keep the plate from moving. It's really going to be up to these ball joints. And classically, these are not very strong ball joints. They can be, just with the more use you give them, they will become a little... So they're fine as long... And the other thing is when they're in this position, right, I'm going to have other... the idea is to have other clips and stuff in place so that when they come together, they clip together. And when you pull them out, you can pull them apart. So there'll be another bar handle clip system in here so that they can kind of snap together so they're not wobbling around while it's in ship mode. On the stand, you could have it stand up in a motion. Yeah, so ideally maybe have the legs slightly farther apart so it's a little more stable. Because in all the pictures you see, it's like the top of the legs are a little crossed. You could even have it so they're kind of wedged against each other. Yeah, I think these are mixel joints. These little ball joints, right? Let's see if I can get a good look at these guys. These guys in here. They're pretty tough. They're not, I wouldn't do anything larger than like a mech like about that big with them, but they're pretty good. Here's a couple. These are like the Overwatch ones. I could probably get away with doing these, and these aren't the mixel joints. These are. So I could probably get away with doing these instead of like the Technic ball and that kind of thing. Any bigger, these click hinges, and I was running into it, the plate housing, it was getting thicker and thicker, and that main fuselage of the droid is very thin, so I was trying to keep that down. Trying to see if that, yeah, that's more like these guys here, like in her elbow. So, it's got quite a little bit of give. Yeah, they're not for strength. The problem is the ratchet joints are huge, right? So, let's see if I can find one. Are they called hinges or joints in here? These guys. So you could use like this. Here's some more. I could build them around these kinds of... F you, just get out there. F you, Shorzy. These knee joints are going to be entirely too big. These would be a little better. Stuff like this. You get the ball joint pieces in there. Big bionicle joints, stuff like that. The problem is the things that are holding them together are so big that in order for them to like be inside something, that something has to be bigger than them, right? So if I was just doing joints, I could just have the joints attached here. And then the problem is, I was thinking about the rotation of it. You have to have two legs and two things holding those legs, but then those legs end up rotating. So those things either have to be on something that rotates, or they have to be able to kind of do this and overlap, right? So if they do this, it means they also have to pull away from the fuselage to be able to do that and then lock into place. So it's either that or have something inside that rotates. Either way, it's thicker than this plate. Like I've tried a couple other combinations of things rotating and holding those in place. I drew a bunch of stuff out. I couldn't get any closer look onto like the design of the thing. What's the hops? Hey man, long time no see. How are you doing? Hope life is good. Ratchets are too big for your scale. Yeah, for the wing arms, use ratchets. The mixel joint is not for strength. Yep. They've got little plate ratchets that hold pretty good. The plate ratchets, so the reason I like these is they're two-fold. If we did like these guys, these hold okay. Where are they? These guys hold pretty well. They don't offer a whole lot in terms of twisting though. So this is great for up and down movement. But then at some point, oops. At some point this whole thing has to kind of go like that. Right? So you have to have a function on here that attaches to something that allows it to do that. And then you have to have another thing where this attaches to another thing out here where this one's like this and this one's like this. So this can move up and down and this can move side to side. So you either have two of these or a ball joint. So that's what I'm running into. I mean, I don't mind reworking this at all. But again, it has to fit into basically a very thin body. And if it gets any thicker than this, it's still not representative of the craft. There's also, I'm not opposed to like doing like Technic joints like this. I'm not very Technic minded. So these may work better because they're ratcheted. And you can have pins that or axles that attach to pins that can rotate. But pin friction isn't very good. You can get pin friction, that's okay, but it's not necessarily really good. So yeah, there's combinations here of stuff that might work. Right now, I'm just hoping that this holds together enough to be in ship form, and then if you were to take it apart and put it on a stand, at least the legs will stay up. The other thing is, the way this is built, this front end is so heavy that a lot of times you see it in the thing where it's drifting down like that when it's walking and its head's kind of sticking out. The fuselage doesn't stay perfectly horizontal. It drifts, it dips a little. So there's a huge weight thing. And a lot of this is going to be like I have to build it in real life to make sure it works. So yeah, I'm not opposed to using, they're not called mixel hinges. They're called, they're just ball joints. But yeah, they're a little bigger. This size ball joint. This kind of stuff. See, stuff like that could work. This is probably a little more stable. I don't know. Maybe that would work if I could figure out how to get it in to that, frame. Because this is probably only about a brick's thick, something like that. Move it in and out. So I'll work on it. Happy Hallmark Day. Yeah, when Beth and I started dating a long time ago, I'm like, okay, before we even get to Valentine's Day, I'm going to tell you, I hate Valentine's Day. Like, it's not about affection and intimacy and adoration and all that. I was like, it's a made-up holiday. So they could sell cards. And she's like, yeah, that's fine. I made her breakfast this morning, so there you go. And we had a nice dinner last night. Back to this head. Now that I've got 5 minutes left. I think I could probably brick build this into the right shape. It just looks so tall and skinny. God, Bricklink, you're just killing me. Oh, you know what it is? It's these wedges, these wedge plates. Something broke in the last update, and these wedge plates just do not attach anymore. Like one side doesn't work, and it's this side. It thinks the attachment block is somewhere else, and it's... Yeah, see, it's not even colliding with it, and it already says, nope, I can't attach. It thinks its attachment point is like way far away. I'm hoping they fix that soon, because this is really breaking a lot of stuff. So it should attach like right here. That should be perfect, but it's not. So you know already you can start to tell, even if I took this one away, this is drifting too far that way. And then you come back over here. You just stick one of these on the end. I'm sure I could clean that up a little bit, but maybe just something like that. Might be a little easier. I just don't like it since it's next to my birthday, though. Thankfully, the first time in years when I've been single, so I don't have partners that feel pressure to do both. Right on, brother. I hear you. Yeah, this... I don't know what I was working on the other day, but I was trying to get... And it's just these, like... Is this left? Right. It's just the right wedge plates. It's almost like a... I don't know. I don't know what they would have done to break that so badly, but... So if I did this, I have to line this up. This has to line up a little better. It's not completely... That's better. Make sure that's... So this is basically going to be... It's not going to be as spread, I think, but I think if I put like more plates on the outside, like this guy, to give it some bulk, right? So now it looks like it's drifting around that corner a little bit. And if I could keep this at this angle, then what I can do is inside here fill this in with some trans red tiles. Right? So like, let me move this out a little bit. So something like 1x1 brick stud. This is just an idea, just spitballing. That may be too far away, but 1x4 tile. All right, Andrea, thanks for being here. I appreciate it, and see you Thursday. Something like that. Actually, that would have to be a 1x1 studs on opposite sides, like so. So this is kind of a fun project, or it's going to be a fun project because this is going to be a multi-month year project. And I'm all right with that. Gives me something to look forward to. Don't think it'll work on it every stream, but yeah, something like that. And then move these guys back over. Nope. And fill in some areas down here with stuff. Color it. That would also give me the ability to color. Is there a shadow on that or something? It's weird. To color these things all different. Like, you know, this guy's going to be this color now, and this guy's going to be this color, and this guy's going to be a dark blue. That kind of thing. A little more freedom to be able to kind of do that. I like this idea. This is going well. And I think the shape would be a good size. Whoops. Let's group all this together. Just so I don't lose it. Airwolf. Airwolf. Coming together. That's pretty good. Oh, and then there's that tile up there. I can put a tile right here with maybe a sticker with the CIS marking on it. See, and then where that closes in the back, this will put a little wedge plate right here, or a brick built section right here with some slopes. Yeah, that works nicely. This will also, if I just have these on hinges underneath here, and I can have like a 3x3 group of plates, keeping this hollow in here will also give me the ability to still have this pin bar system in here that I can move the head around a little bit. So I think I'm gonna kill it. It's 90 minutes in, and I think we get some progress. So thanks everybody for being here. I appreciate it. I hope you have a happy Sunday. If you're here in Austin, stay warm. It's gonna be like this for a while. Tomorrow and Tuesday are supposed to be absolutely gory. Some snow or some sleet and dropping temperatures. So take care of yourself, and I will see you guys on Thursday. Take care.